Hyun-woo stood in the great hall of the Galactic Council, his hands shaking as he read the message on his tablet. The words made no sense. He read them again, hoping he was wrong, but the text stayed the same. Earth's application for full council. Membership is denied. All human presence must leave council space within 1 standard year. The hall around him buzzed with alien voices. Representatives from hundreds of worlds whispered to each other. Some looked sad. Others seemed happy. None of them looked at Hyun-woo. He had been Earth's ambassador for 10 years. He had worked hard to build friendships with other species. He had helped solve trade problems and peace talks. He thought humans were finally accepted in the galaxy. He was wrong. Soo-jin walked up to him, her face pale. She was Earth's chief scientist and had been working with alien researchers for years. "Did you see the vote count?" she whispered. Hyun-woo shook his head. He did not want to know. "It was not even close," Soo-jin said. 412 votes to expel us, only 7 votes to let us stay. The number hit Hyun-woo like a punch. 7 votes. Out of more than 400 species in the council, only 7 thought humans deserved to stay. "Who voted for us?" he asked. Soo-jin looked at her own tablet. "The Kalari, the Threnody, and 5 smaller colonies. That's it." Hyun-woo felt sick. The Kalari were a peaceful species that humans had saved from a plague 20 years ago. The Threnody were traders who made good money from human colonies. Even they barely supported Earth. Tai Yang walked across the hall toward them. He was tall and blue, with 4 arms and eyes that never seemed to blink. He represented the hegemony, the most powerful group in the council, Ambassador Hyun-woo. Tai Yang said in his cold voice, "I trust you understand the council's decision." "I understand the words," Hyun-woo replied, "but I do not understand why." Tai Yang's 4 hands moved in what might have been a shrug. "Your species is too aggressive, too unpredictable. You expand too fast and ask too many questions." "We have followed every council law," Soo-jin said, stepping forward. "We have shared our technology. We have helped other species with their problems." "Yes," Tai Yang agreed. "That is exactly the problem." Hyun-woo stared at him. "Helping others is a problem? Your help comes too easily," Tai Yang explained. "You solve problems that have existed for thousands of years. You create new technologies in decades that took us centuries to develop. You make other species look slow and stupid." "That was never our intention," Hyun-woo said. "Intention does not matter," Tai Yang replied. "Results matter. Your species makes others uncomfortable. The council has decided you are too dangerous to remain in civilized space." Soo-jin's hands clenched into fists. "Dangerous! We have never started a war. We have never attacked anyone who did not attack us first." "Your very existence is an attack," Tai Yang said. "You show other species what they could be if they were better. That creates anger and jealousy. It threatens the peace." Back on Earth, Minho sat in his office watching the news feeds from the council meeting. As Earth's defense minister, he had expected this day might come, but expecting something and experiencing it were very different things. His assistant knocked on his door. "Sir, we're getting reports from all our colonies. Council security forces are already moving toward human settlements." Minho nodded. He had prepared for this too. "Send the message to all colony governors. Begin Phase 1 of the emergency protocol." "Sir, are you sure?" "Phase 1 means—" "I know what it means," Minho said quietly. "Do it." Phase 1 was the evacuation plan they had hoped never to use. Every human colony had been built with secret escape routes and hidden supply caches. Every settlement had ships ready to leave at a moment's notice. Minho had learned long ago that humans were not truly welcome in the galaxy. They were tolerated because they were useful. But tolerance was not acceptance, and usefulness could become a threat. On the research station orbiting Kepler 442b, Dr. Young Mi received the emergency message. She looked around her laboratory where she had worked for 5 years. The walls were covered with her research on alien plant biology. She had helped develop new food crops that could grow on dozens of different worlds. She thought about the Zephyrian scientists she worked with. They had seemed like friends. They had shared meals and jokes and long nights working on difficult problems. Just last week, Dr. Zelak had thanked her for helping him solve a genetics puzzle his people had struggled with for decades. Now she had to leave it all behind. Young Mai began deleting her research files. The council wanted humans gone? Fine. But they would not get to keep the benefits of human knowledge. On the mining colony of New Seoul, Governor Jae-won watched council ships approach on his scanners. The aliens were coming to make sure humans left. They probably expected to find humans crying and begging to stay. They would be disappointed. Jae-won activated the colony's self-destruct sequence. Not the explosive kind. Humans were not that cruel. But every piece of human technology would be destroyed. Every improvement humans had made to the mining equipment would be erased. Every efficiency upgrade would be deleted. The aliens could have their planet back. But they would have to mine it the slow, old way. Across human space, the same scene played out on hundreds of worlds. Humans had built farms, factories, research stations, and cities. They had improved alien technology and solved alien problems. They had created trade networks and communication systems. Now they were taking it all away. On Earth, President Ji-yeon called an emergency meeting of the World Council. Representatives from every nation gathered in the Great Assembly Hall in Geneva. The Galactic Council has made their choice, she announced. They want us gone, so we will leave. A representative from South America stood up. Madam President, surely we can negotiate. We can offer them something. Ji-yeon shook her head. We offered them everything. Our knowledge, our friendship, our help with their problems. It was not enough. They fear us because we are different. They hate us because we are better at solving problems than they are. Where will we go? Asked the representative from Europe. Away, Ji-yeon said simply. Far away. To places they cannot find us. And if they change their minds? Asked someone from Asia. Ji-yeon's eyes were hard as steel. Then they will discover that some choices cannot be undone. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would leave council space, but they would leave on their own terms, in their own way, and they would take everything that made them valuable with them. The galaxy had made a choice. Soon, they would learn to live with the consequences. President Ji-yeon stood before the largest gathering in human history. Every screen on Earth and in the colonies showed her face. Billions of humans watched and waited for her words. My fellow humans, she began, her voice calm but strong. Today marks the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. The Galactic Council has shown us who they really are. They fear us not because we are dangerous, but because we are capable. She paused, letting her words sink in. They have given us 1 year to leave their space. We will not need that long. On Luna Base, Admiral Kyung-min studied the massive holographic display showing every human settlement in the galaxy. Red dots marked colonies that needed evacuation. Blue dots showed the ships available to carry people and cargo. Yellow lines traced the safest routes out of council space. It was the largest military operation in human history. But it was not a war. It was an exodus. How many people do we need to move? Asked Captain Subin, his chief of staff. 47 million colonists across 138 worlds, Kyung-min replied, plus all the equipment, supplies, and research we can carry. That's impossible, sir. We don't have enough ships. Kyung-min smiled grimly. We will have to build them as we go. The admiral had been planning for this day for years. Hidden in asteroid fields and empty star systems, humans had been building shipyards and supply depots. The Council thought they knew about all human space facilities. They were wrong. On New Busan, the largest human agricultural colony, Farmer. Gildong walked through his fields one last time. The crops grew tall and green under the alien sun. These plants had fed millions of people across dozens of worlds. He had spent 20 years perfecting them. Now he had to burn it all. Gildong opened his tablet and sent the activation code. Hidden devices throughout the colony began their work. Every crop would die. Every seed would be destroyed. The genetic modifications that made these plants so productive would be erased from all databases. The Council wanted the humans gone. They could have the dead dirt that remained. "Sir," his assistant He-Jin said quietly, "the evacuation ships are here." Gildong nodded without looking back at his fields. "Tell everyone to take only what they can carry. Leave the rest for the fire." In the Kepler system, Dr. So-Ra oversaw the destruction of the most advanced research facility in the galaxy. For 15 years, human and alien scientists had worked together here. They had cured diseases, developed new technologies, and made discoveries that changed how species understood the universe. Now humans were taking all of that knowledge with them. "Delete everything in the shared databases," So-Ra ordered her team. "Remove all human contributions to joint research projects. Encrypt our private files with level 9 security." "What about the alien scientists?" asked Dr. Wu Sung. "Some of them are our friends." So-Ra felt sad, but her voice stayed firm. "Their species voted to throw us out. Let them explain to their people why the research stopped." Across the facility, human scientists worked quickly. They downloaded their research onto portable drives, then wiped the main computers. Years of work vanished in minutes. The alien scientists watched in shock. Dr. Kethlar, a Zephyrian researcher, approached So-Ra. "Dr. So-Ra, please," he said in his clicking voice. "You cannot destroy all this knowledge. It belongs to everyone." "No," So-Ra replied. "It belongs to the people who created it. Your council decided that humans are not welcome here. This knowledge goes where we go." "But the cancer cure we were developing together will have to be developed by someone else," So-Ra finished. "Good luck with that." On Earth, Hei-Wan worked 18 hours a day coordinating the Great Departure. As head of strategic planning, she had to make sure every human ship left Council space before the deadline. But the exodus was more than just moving people. It was about taking everything valuable and leaving nothing useful behind. "Report from Titan Manufacturing," her aide Jun-Seok announced. "All human-designed equipment has been removed or destroyed. The alien workers don't know how to operate the advanced machinery." "Good," Hei-Wan said. "What about the communication networks?" "Engineer Dong-Hyun has finished implementing the erasure protocol. All human improvements to the galactic internet have been removed. Connection speeds in human sectors have dropped by 80%. Hei-Wan allowed herself a small smile. The council thought they were losing some troublesome colonists. They had no idea they were losing the backbone of their entire civilization. Dong-Hyun himself was light years away, standing in the control room of the primary communication hub for the galaxy's eastern spiral arm. For 10 years, he had quietly improved the systems here. He had made communications faster, more reliable, and more secure. Now he was undoing all of that work. "Sir," his human technician Myung-Soo said, "if we remove all our improvements, half the galaxy will lose communication with the other half." "That's not our problem anymore," Dong-Hyun replied. He entered his personal access codes and began the deletion process. "We offered to help them build a better galaxy. They said no. Now they can try to maintain it themselves." Lines of code vanished from the screens. Carefully crafted programs that had taken years to write disappeared in seconds. The communication network that connected thousands of worlds began to slow down and break apart. On the outer rim, Captain Jin A commanded the last human cargo ship to leave Council space. Her holds were packed with people and equipment from 3 different colonies. Behind her, automatic systems were destroying everything humans had built. "Captain," her communications officer Min Wu reported, "we're receiving a transmission from Council Fleet Command. They're ordering us to heave to for inspection." Jin-A looked at her navigation display. They were still 12 hours from the boundary of Council space. "Tell them we are in compliance with the evacuation order and continuing on our assigned route." "They're insisting, Captain. They want to search our cargo holds." "I'm sure they do," Jin-A said dryly. The Council was probably realizing they had made a mistake. Maybe they wanted to inspect human technology before it left forever. "Tell them to file a complaint with the Galactic Court." "They're moving to intercept us, Captain." Jin-A sighed. She had hoped to leave peacefully, but some aliens just could not take no for an answer. "All stop. Prepare to be boarded." The Council ship docked with her vessel an hour later. A squad of alien security officers came aboard, led by a tall, insect-like creature Jin-A recognized as Commander Scritch of the Mantis Collective. "Captain Jin-A," Scritch clicked, "we must inspect your cargo." "You have no legal authority here," Jin-A replied. "We are leaving as ordered." "We have reports that you are carrying stolen technology." Jinny almost laughed. "Stolen? We built everything in our holds. Every machine, every computer, every tool was designed and created by humans." "Technology developed in Council space belongs to the Council," Scritch insisted. "Show me the law that says that," Jin-A challenged. Scritch's insect eyes twitched. There was no such law, and everyone knew it. The inspection took 3 hours. The alien officers looked at human computers, machines, and research equipment. They found nothing they could claim as stolen property because there was nothing to find. Everything was clearly of human design and manufacture. "This is highly irregular," Scritch finally said. "No species has ever left Council space with so much advanced technology." "No species has ever been kicked out for being too helpful," Jin-A replied. "Maybe that's why." When the aliens finally left, Jin-A's ship resumed course for the border. 12 hours later, they crossed into uncharted space. The last human vessel had left Council territory. Behind them, the galaxy began to realize what it had lost. Power grids failed on worlds where human engineers had maintained them. Trade routes became inefficient without human logistics planning. Research projects stopped without human scientists to solve the hard problems. The Council had wanted humans gone. Now they had exactly what they asked for. Soon, they would learn whether that was really what they wanted. 5 years had passed since the last human ship left Council space. Director Wu Jin sat in his office on the Galactic Communications Center, staring at reports that made no sense. "Run the diagnostics again," he told his assistant, a nervous Calarian named Vexty. "I have run them 6 times, Director," Vexty replied. "The results are the same. Long-range communications are failing across 17 sectors." Wu Jin rubbed his temples. As Director of Galactic Communications, he was responsible for keeping the galaxy connected. It was a job that had been easy 5 years ago. Now it was becoming impossible. "What about the backup systems?" "Also failing, sir. The quantum relay network is operating at 30% efficiency and dropping daily." Wu Jin pulled up the network map on his main screen. Red areas marked communication failures. Yellow areas showed reduced capacity. Green areas still worked normally. There was a lot more red and yellow than there had been last month. "When did these problems start?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. "Approximately 4 years. And 8 months ago, sir. 6 months after the humans left." Wu Jin was not stupid. He could see the connection, but admitting it would mean admitting the Council had made a terrible mistake. On Zephyr Prime, economist Young Su stared at trade reports that told a similar story. As the Council's chief economic advisor, he tracked the flow of goods and services. across the galaxy. What he saw now worried him. "Show me the agricultural output for the Kepler sector," he ordered his computer. Charts appeared on his screen. Food production had dropped by 40% over the past 5 years. Young-Su switched to another sector. The same pattern appeared. Another sector. Same result. Computer, compare current production levels to 5 years ago, all sectors. The results made Young-Su's stomach hurt. Food production was down across the galaxy. Manufacturing was slower. Trade was less efficient. Everything was getting worse. Computer, identify any significant changes in these sectors over the past 5 years. The computer thought for a moment. Primary change. Removal of human population and technology from all affected areas. Young-Su closed his eyes. There it was. The truth no one wanted to admit. Far beyond the galactic rim, in a star system the Council had never mapped, Sung-Ho stood on the observation deck of humanity's hope. The ship was one of the largest ever. Built, a mobile city that housed 2 million people. Outside the windows, construction ships worked around the clock. They were building the first permanent human settlement in their new home. No aliens here, no council laws, no one to tell them they were too dangerous or too different. "How are the terraforming efforts going?" he asked Chief Engineer Ne Young. "Better than expected," Ne Young replied. "The third planet is ready for initial colonization. We should be able to move 50,000 people there next month." Sung-Ho nodded. As the leader of the New Worlds project, he was responsible for finding humanity a new home. It was harder than it sounded. They needed planets that could support human life, but they also needed to stay hidden from the Council. Any sign of alien activity in this system? None, sir. We're well outside their exploration range. According to our calculations, it would take them 300 years to reach us even if they knew where to look. Good. How many people do we have working on the advanced research projects? Na Young smiled. All of them, sir, without council. Regulations limiting what we can study, our scientists are making breakthrough discoveries every month. That was the thing the council had never understood. Their laws and rules had not just restricted human expansion, they had restricted human innovation. Now, free from those limits, human technology was advancing faster than ever before. Back in Council space, the problems were getting worse. On Hegemony Central, military commander Bin Wu received daily reports of system failures across his territory. Power plants stopped working. Transportation networks broke down. Communication systems went silent. "How many repair teams do we have available?" he asked his aide. 47, sir. But they are struggling with the repairs. Many of these systems use technology our engineers do not fully understand. Bin Wu frowned. "What do you mean they don't understand it?" "The systems were originally designed by humans, sir. Our people learned to operate them, but they did not learn to build them. When something breaks, we cannot fix it properly." The truth was starting to come out. For decades, humans had quietly improved systems across the galaxy. They had made power plants more efficient, transportation faster, and communication clearer. Other species had enjoyed the benefits without understanding how they worked. Now those systems were breaking down, and no one knew how to fix them. Council. Investigator So Young spent her days trying to understand what had gone wrong. Her job was to find out why galactic civilization was falling apart. The answer was obvious, but no one wanted to hear it. "Computer, show me the maintenance records for the Andromeda Sector power grid." Files appeared on her screen. For 20 years, human engineers had performed regular maintenance on the grid. They had also made thousands of small improvements, upgrading software and replacing old components with better ones. 5 years ago, the humans left. Now the grid was running on automatic systems that were slowly failing. Other species tried to maintain it, but they did not understand the human modifications. Computer, how many systems in this sector were modified by human engineers? Calculating. 94% of all major infrastructure shows evidence of human modification or improvement. So Young sat back in her chair. 94%. The humans had not just lived in Council space, they had rebuilt it from the ground up. Current Council Chairman Chang Min called an emergency session to discuss the growing crisis. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered in the Great Hall where 5 years ago they had voted to expel humanity. The situation is becoming critical, Chang Min announced. We are losing communication with outer sectors. Trade is slowing. Food production is falling. We need solutions. A representative from the Kalari stood up. Chairman, I believe we must consider contacting Earth. Ask the humans to return and help us fix these problems. The hall erupted in angry voices. Many species still believed humanity was dangerous. Others were too proud to admit they needed human help. The humans made themselves clear when they left, said the Zephyrian delegate. They wanted nothing more to do with us. Perhaps they have reconsidered, the Kalari representative suggested. It has been 5 years. Surely they would be willing to negotiate. Su Jin, now head of the Council's Technology Division, stood to address the assembly. I have been studying this crisis for months. The truth is simple. Humans were not just residents of Council space. They were its engineers. They designed and maintained the systems we all depend on. That is impossible, scoffed the hegemony representative. No single species could be that important. Su Jin activated a holographic display. This map shows infrastructure failures across the galaxy. Notice the pattern. Failures are concentrated in areas where humans had colonies or research stations. Areas where humans never lived are functioning normally. The map was clear and damning. Everywhere humans had touched, systems were failing. Everywhere they had not been, things worked fine. How long do we have? Asked Changmin quietly. At current failure rates, galactic civilization will collapse. Within 10 years, Su Jin replied. Major systems will fail within 5 years. Some critical infrastructure may fail within months. The hall fell silent. The magnitude of their mistake was finally becoming clear. What do you recommend? Changmin asked. Contact Earth immediately, Su Jin said. Offer them whatever they want to come back. Full membership, autonomous territory, anything. And if they refuse? Su Jin looked around the hall at the representatives who had voted to expel humanity. Then we learn to live in the galaxy we created when we threw them out. The emergency meeting of the council lasted 14 hours. When it ended, Chairman Chang Min looked older than he had that morning. The vote had been close, but clear. The council would try to contact Earth. Send the message on all frequencies, Chang Min ordered. Priority 1 transmission to the Sol system. The message was simple. The Galactic Council requests immediate diplomatic contact with the government of Earth. We are prepared to discuss full reinstatement of human membership and territorial rights. The message was sent. Then the Council waited. Days passed. No answer came. Try again, Chang Min ordered. Offer them complete autonomy in their home system. Still no answer. Try offering them seats on the High Council, he said desperately. The only response was silence. On the science. Station orbiting Kepler 442b, Dr. Yan Wu made a discovery that changed everything. He was a quantum physicist studying subspace communication patterns. What he found made his hands shake. Computer, analyze these energy signatures again. The computer confirmed what Yan Wu already knew but could not believe. Sir, his assistant, said, these readings show technology far beyond anything in our databases. Yan Wu nodded slowly. The energy patterns suggested the humans had developed faster-than-light communication technology. Not the slow, unreliable quantum entanglement. Networks the galaxy used, but something completely new. How is this possible? His assistant asked. 5 years ago, human technology was only slightly ahead of ours. 5 years ago, humans were following council regulations, Yan Wu replied. They were not allowed to research dangerous technologies. They were not allowed to make weapons. They were not allowed to develop anything that might threaten galactic peace. You think they were holding back? Yan Wu looked at the readings again. The implications were staggering. I think we never saw what humans could really do. Meanwhile, deep space monitoring stations picked up something even more disturbing. Ships were moving in the void beyond the galactic rim. Big ships. Hundreds of them. Sir, the operator at Station Gamma 7 reported to his commander. We're tracking massive objects moving in formation. They're too far away for detailed scans, but the energy signatures are enormous. Asteroid miners? The commander suggested hopefully. No, sir. These objects are artificial and moving under power. Based on their size and energy output, they appear to be ships. Very large ships. The commander felt cold. How large? Each one is approximately 10 kilometers long, sir. The commander sat down heavily. The largest ships in the Council fleet were 2 kilometers long. What kind of civilization built ships? 5 times that size? Are they heading toward Council space? No, sir. They appear to be moving parallel to the galactic rim. But, sir, there are a lot of them. Word of the massive ships spread quickly through Council intelligence networks. Some officials insisted they had to be alien vessels from another galaxy. Others had a darker suspicion. Admiral Jae-hyun volunteered to lead an expedition to investigate. He took a small fleet of fast ships to the coordinates where the unknown vessels had been spotted. What he found there was nothing. Sir, his science officer reported, we're detecting no ships, no energy signatures, no debris. It's as if nothing was ever here. But Jae-hyun's instruments told a different story. There were traces of exotic particles in space, residual energy patterns that matched no known technology. Whatever had been here was gone, but it had left fingerprints. Analysis suggests the objects that were here used technology based on principles we do not understand, the science officer continued. The energy patterns are completely alien to our databases. Alien or just unknown? Jae-hyun asked quietly. Sir? Nothing. Continue scanning. But Jae-hyun already knew the answer. The technology was not alien. It was human. Somehow, in just 5 years, humanity had advanced far beyond anything the Council could imagine. Chief Diplomat Mi Jung tried a different approach. Instead of sending messages to Earth, she tried to contact human colonies that had been abandoned during the Exodus. Maybe some humans had stayed behind. Maybe they could act as intermediaries. She found the colonies empty but intact. On New Sol, the mining equipment sat silent but undamaged. On New Busan, the fields were dead, but the buildings were perfect. Everything looked like the humans had just stepped out for a moment and would be back any minute. It's like they vanished, Mi Jung reported to the Council. But they left everything behind in perfect condition, almost like they wanted us to see what we lost. On Earth, President In-ho read the Council's messages with amusement. He was Ji-yeon's successor, chosen by the survivors of humanity's exodus. The messages came daily now, each more desperate than the last. Sir, his aide Gun-ho said, the latest message offers us complete control of 10-star systems and a permanent seat on the High Council. Do they think we're still interested in their politics? In-ho asked. Should we respond, sir? In-ho looked out the window of his office. Outside, the construction of humanity's new home continued. Vast cities floated in space, connected by transport. Tubes that moved faster than the Council's best ships. Below them, Earth had been transformed into a garden world, beautiful and peaceful. No, he said finally, let them wonder. The truth was, humanity had moved far beyond the Council's understanding. Free from alien restrictions, human science had exploded forward. They had solved faster than light travel, developed clean, unlimited energy, and created technologies that would seem like magic to the Council. More importantly, they had learned to work together in ways the Council never could. Without the politics and prejudice of alien species, humans had built a society based on cooperation and innovation. Sir, Gun-ho continued, long-range sensors show increasing system failures throughout Council space. Some analysts think their civilization might collapse within a few years. That's unfortunate, Inho said without emotion, but not our problem. Back in Council space, the failures were accelerating. The Zephyrian homeworld lost power for 6 hours when their main reactor failed. The hegemony's capital ship broke down in deep space and had to be towed home. Communication blackouts were becoming common. Historian Ye Jin, working in the Council archives, spent her days documenting the crisis. As she read through old records, a pattern emerged that chilled her. "Computer, show me voting records for the human expulsion." The data appeared on her screen. 412 votes to expel humanity, only 7 votes to let them stay. Computer cross-reference voting records with current system failure reports. The results were damning. Species that had voted most strongly for human expulsion were experiencing the worst system failures. Species that had supported humanity were still functioning normally. The humans had not just left randomly. They had taken their knowledge and support away from the worlds that rejected them, but left it in place for the few species that had stood by them. Computer, project failure rates for the next 5 years based on current trends. The projection made Ye Jin sick. Within 5 years, most of the galaxy would be dark and silent. Trade would collapse. Millions would die as life support systems failed. The Council had wanted to get rid of humanity because they were too advanced, too helpful, too different. Now they were learning what the galaxy looked like without human innovation and assistance. It was a cold, dark, broken place. And somewhere beyond the rim of known space, humanity watched and remembered. They remembered every insult, every sneer, every vote cast against them. They remembered which species had stood by them and which had thrown them away. The Council kept sending messages, offering everything they could think of. Territory, technology, membership, authority, everything except the one thing that might have mattered, an apology. But even that might not have been enough, because humanity had discovered something the Council never understood. They were better off alone. The search fleets launched from 12 different Council worlds. They carried the galaxy's best ships, most advanced sensors, and most experienced explorers. Their mission was simple: find humanity and bring them home. Admiral Jae Hyun commanded the largest search group. His fleet of 50 vessels was equipped with every scanning device the Council had ever invented. If humans were hiding somewhere in the galaxy, he would find them. "Begin wide-spectrum scans of Sector 7G, he ordered. This was where the massive ships had been spotted 3 months ago. If humans were out here, this was the most likely place to find them. The scans found nothing. "Expand the search pattern," Jae Hyun ordered. "Check every star system within 50 light years." Days passed. The fleet found abandoned planets, empty space, and dead stars, but no humans. "Sir," his science officer Mi Jung reported, "we're detecting traces of recent activity in the Vega system. Energy patterns suggest large-scale construction." The fleet rushed to Vega, hoping finally to find their target. What they found instead was more mystery. "Sir, there are definitely signs that something was here," Mi Jung said, studying her instruments. "Massive construction platforms, mining operations, industrial facilities, but everything is gone." "How recently?" "Based on residual radiation, I'd say they left less than a week ago." Jae Hyun felt frustrated. It was like chasing ghosts. Every time they found a clue, the humans were already gone. "How did they know we were coming?" he asked. Mi Jung looked uncomfortable. "Sir, based on the energy signatures we've detected, human. Sensor technology is far more advanced than ours. They probably detected our ships before we even entered this sector." On the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Wook led another search fleet. His orders were the same: find the humans at any cost. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving a transmission. It's coming from the direction of Earth." Wook's heart jumped. Finally, a response. "Put it through." The message was short and simple. "This is not Earth. Continue your search elsewhere." Trace that signal, Wook ordered. I'm trying, sir, but it's bouncing off relay stations across the galaxy. The origin point could be anywhere. Wook realized the humans were toying with them. They were watching the search fleets and sending fake signals to confuse them. Chief Diplomat Yun-Su tried a different approach. Instead of hunting for humans in space, she tried to find them through their allies. The Kalari and Threnodi had voted to support humanity during the expulsion. Maybe they knew where humans had gone. She traveled to Kalari Prime and met with their government council. "We understand your crisis," said Kalari Speaker Venthok. "Our own systems are beginning to fail as well, but we cannot help you find the humans." "Cannot or will not?" Yun-Su asked. "Cannot. We have had no contact with humanity since they left council space. They have vanished as completely for us as they have for you." But Yun-Su noticed something interesting. Despite their system failures, the Kalari seemed less worried than other species, almost like they knew something she did not. "Have you attempted to contact Earth directly?" she asked. Venthak's expression grew carefully neutral. "Of course. Like everyone else, we have received no response." Yun-Su suspected the Kalari were lying, but she could not prove it. Meanwhile, deep space observation posts reported increasingly strange phenomena. Ships appeared on sensors for a few minutes, then vanished. Energy readings spiked in empty space. Communication signals appeared from nowhere, then cut off. "It's like they're everywhere and nowhere at the same time," reported Captain Zheng Hua from Observation Post Alpha 9. "We detect them, but when we investigate, there's nothing there." The truth was more disturbing than the Council realized. Humanity had not just hidden in some distant star system, they had transcended the Council's ability to find them. Using technology the aliens could not imagine, humans had built ships that could phase in and out of normal space. They could observe the galaxy without being observed. They could appear anywhere, anytime, without warning. The massive vessels spotted months ago were just the beginning. Humanity had built an entire civilization that existed outside the normal. Laws of physics. Dr. Haiyan Su, the Council's leading expert on subspace physics, studied the energy readings from all the search missions. What he found defied explanation. "These readings suggest the humans have mastered dimensional manipulation," he reported to Chairman Chang Min. "They're not hiding in our galaxy. They're hiding in parallel space." "That's impossible," Chang Min replied. "The mathematics alone would take centuries to work out." "Unless you had unlimited resources and no restrictions on your research," Hyun-Su said quietly. "The humans have had 5 years of complete freedom to advance their science. No council laws to limit them. No safety regulations to slow them down. No political pressure to share their discoveries." Chang Min felt sick. The Council had expelled humanity to keep them from becoming too powerful. Instead, they had freed them to become more powerful than anyone could imagine. "How do we contact them if they exist in parallel space?" "We don't," Hyun-Su said simply. "They contact us if they choose to." The search missions continued for another 6 months. 50 fleets scoured the galaxy, following every lead and investigating every anomaly. They found traces of human activity everywhere, but never found the humans themselves. Finally, Admiral Jae-hyun returned to Council space with a report that changed everything. "They don't want to be found," he told the assembled Council. "The humans have technology so far beyond ours that they could reveal themselves whenever they choose. The fact that they haven't means they don't want to." "But the energy signatures," protested Chang Min. "The ship sightings. They must be trying to communicate." "No, sir," Jae-hyun replied. "I think they're studying us, watching how we react to the crisis they left behind. They're treating us like specimens in a laboratory." The Council fell silent. The idea that humanity was observing them like laboratory animals was humiliating and terrifying. "What do you recommend?" Chang Min asked. "Stop searching," Jae-hyun said. "Stop sending messages. Accept that humanity is gone and learn to solve our problems without them." And if our civilization collapses? Jae-hyun looked around the Great Hall where 8 years ago the Council had voted to expel humanity. Then we'll learn what we really lost when we threw them out. Unknown to the Council, their conversation was being monitored. Far away in parallel space, human observers recorded every word. The data was transmitted to President In-ho, who read it with interest. "They're finally beginning to understand," he told his advisors. "They know they made a mistake, but they still think it can be fixed." "Should we respond to their search efforts?" asked Admiral Sung-min. "No," In-ho replied. "Let them search. Let them realize how helpless they are without us. Maybe someday they'll learn humility." And if their civilization collapses? In-ho looked at the reports from human colonies across dimensional space. Millions of humans now lived in a realm of unlimited possibility, free from alien prejudice and politics. "Then the galaxy will finally have peace," he said. "Peace, silence, and darkness. Exactly what they voted for when they threw us out." The search for humanity continued, but it was hopeless. The hunters had become the hunted, and they would never find their quarry, because humanity had transcended the very space where the Council existed. 3 more years passed. The galaxy that had once spanned thousands of worlds was slowly going dark. Supreme Council leader Jun Woo stood in the Emergency Command Center, watching status reports flood in from across Council space. Red lights marked failed systems. Yellow lights showed systems on the edge of failure. There were not many green lights left. "Report," he ordered tiredly. 17 more worlds have lost main power in the last week," his aide Sang-ho announced. "The Vegan trade route has collapsed completely. 3 major agricultural worlds are reporting crop failures." Junwoo closed his eyes. The numbers got worse every day. "How many people have we lost?" "Confirmed deaths are approaching 2 billion across the galaxy," Sang-ho said quietly. "Projected deaths if current trends continue. We prefer not to calculate. 2 billion people dead because life support systems failed, because food could not be grown efficiently, because transportation networks broke down. 2 billion people who would still be alive if the Council had not voted to expel humanity 8 years ago. Any response to our latest communication attempts?" "No, sir." The humans maintained complete silence. The latest messages had been desperate. The Council offered humanity complete control of half the galaxy. They offered to dissolve the Council entirely and let humans rule everything. They offered to become servants if humans would just come back and fix the systems that were failing. Humans did not even acknowledge receiving the messages. On New Zephyr, the backup capital after Zephyr Prime lost power permanently, Dr. Kyung-soo published his final report on the galactic crisis. As the Council's chief systems analyst, he had spent 3 years documenting the collapse. "The failure pattern is clear and predictable," he wrote. "Every system improved by human engineering will fail within 10 years of their departure. Systems built entirely by humans will last longer, but without maintenance, they too will eventually break down." He paused in his writing and looked out the window. The city below was darker than it had been last month. Power rationing was becoming more severe as the main reactor slowly died. Recommendation: begin immediate preparation for technological regression to pre-human contact levels. Estimated timeline for complete civilizational collapse, 18 months. 18 months. In a year and a half, the great galactic civilization that had existed for millennia would be reduced to isolated worlds struggling to survive with primitive technology. All because they had been afraid of humanity's potential. Tjatodi. The former human colony of New Seoul, Governor Tae-min supervised the salvage operations. Without human maintenance, the mining equipment had stopped working 2 years ago. Now alien workers tried desperately to repair the machinery they did not understand. "Have the engineers made any progress?" Tae-min asked his foreman. "They got 1 extractor working yesterday," the foreman replied. "But it broke down again this morning. They say the control systems are too complex. Taemin looked at the massive machines sitting silent in the mines. Each one could have produced enough, or to supply a dozen worlds. Now they were just expensive monuments to alien stupidity. What about the backup systems? The humans destroyed all the manuals and deleted the software before they left. Our people are trying to reverse engineer everything from scratch. It was the same story on every former human world. The humans had not destroyed their machines, but they had made sure no one else could operate them. Every piece of human technology was a puzzle that alien minds could not solve. In the deep space between galaxies, President In-ho walked through the corridors of New Earth, humanity's greatest creation. The ship was not just a vessel, but an entire world. Home to 50 million humans. Around it, hundreds of similar ships formed a fleet that dwarfed anything the Council had ever imagined. "Sir," Admiral Sang-min reported, "long-range sensors show the collapse is accelerating. We estimate total civilizational failure within 12 months. Any changes in their communication attempts?" "Yes, sir. They're now offering us godhood, complete worship and obedience in exchange for our return." In-ho almost smiled. The proud species who had voted humanity too dangerous now wanted to worship them as gods. And our response? Silence as ordered. In-ho nodded. Humanity had debated for years whether to respond to the Council's increasingly desperate pleas. Some argued for mercy, others wanted revenge. In the end, they had chosen a third option, indifference. "Sir," Sang-min continued, "there's something else. Our monitors in Council space report that some species are turning on each other. The hegemony is blaming the Zephyrians for the expulsion vote. The Zephyrians are accusing the Mantis Collective of engineering the crisis. The galaxy is eating itself," In-ho observed. "How appropriate." Archivist Ye Jin worked alone in the Council's historical archives, documenting the end of galactic civilization. As one of the few remaining historians, she felt responsible for recording what happened so future species might learn from the Council's mistakes. Her latest entry read, Day 2847 since human expulsion. Power failures now affect 93% of Council worlds. Communication between sectors has largely ceased. Trade has collapsed. Multiple species report social unrest and governmental breakdown. She paused and added, "Note for future. Historians, the vote to expel humanity was 412 to 7. Those 412 votes destroyed a civilization that had lasted for 10,000 years. Ye Jin often wondered if any future historians would ever read her work. Without humans to maintain the archive systems, even her records would eventually be lost. Chairman Chang Min, now one of the last functioning Council leaders, made a final desperate broadcast to the galaxy. "To any humans who might be listening," he said into the camera, "we were wrong. We made a terrible mistake. We let fear and jealousy drive us to destroy the greatest partnership in galactic history." He paused, hoping somehow that humanity would hear the sincerity in his voice. "We are dying out here, not just our technology, but our hope, our spirit. We have learned what the galaxy looks like without human innovation and optimism. It is a cold, dark place." Chang Min looked directly into the camera. "We do not ask for forgiveness. We do not deserve it. We ask only that you remember us as we were before fear made us stupid, before pride made us cruel." The broadcast went out on every remaining frequency. It reached the edges of the galaxy and beyond. In his command center on New Earth, In-ho watched the transmission with his senior staff. Some looked moved by Chang Min's words. Others remained unmoved. "Sir," asked Advisor Sun-ho, "should we respond?" In-ho considered the question. 8 years ago, the galaxy had voted to throw humanity out because they were too dangerous, too different, too capable. Now that same galaxy begged for their return. "No," he said finally. "Our answer was decided 8 years ago when they made their choice." "But, sir," Billions of innocent people are dying. Billions of people watch their leaders vote to expel us, Inho replied. They cheered when the dangerous humans were sent away. They celebrated when they no longer had to compete with human achievement. He stood and walked to the viewing portal. Outside, the infinite stars stretched into eternity. Somewhere among them, the galaxy was slowly dying. They wanted a universe without humanity. Inho said quietly, "Now they have one. I hope they enjoy it." 6 months later, the last Council communication station went silent. The great galactic civilization that had spanned thousands of worlds and hundreds of species simply ended. Some worlds survived in isolation, struggling with primitive technology and failing systems. Others died completely when their life support finally failed. A few managed to maintain basic spaceflight and tried to rebuild, but the golden age of galactic cooperation and trade was over forever. Humanity watched it all from their realm beyond normal space. They had built something new, something better. A civilization based on human values and human potential, unrestricted by alien fears and prejudices. They had transcended the galaxy that had rejected them. The Council had wanted them gone. They had voted for a universe without humanity. Now, they had exactly what they had voted for. And in the cold silence of a dying galaxy, they finally understood what they had lost. But understanding came too late. Some choices cannot be undone. Some countdowns cannot be stopped. The galaxy had chosen its fate 8 years ago when they decided humanity was too dangerous to tolerate. Now they would live with that choice forever.